Landmines and jellyfish, welcome back to Knives, I guess. And sometimes I like to eat an entire still frozen burrito and then spin around slowly in an office chair so I can pretend I'm a microwave. But do me a favor and hit that like button or you'll start the apocalypse. And on our last live stream we went in on the Civivi Mini Asticus. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're holding because it'll bother you if I don't. And you know I'm too kind to you. So, first things first and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. It is reversible. We have got the brushed brass scales. We got a flipper tab. Let's flick the bean. And we got right about 3 inches of 10CR15 steel. Okay, so I have been told, and I believe that 10CR15 is just VG10 with a trench coat and a fake mustache. And our results kind of were right in line with VG10. So, before I walk you through the timeline of events, we're going to go out to the car hole and we're going to see the pile that we got off the factory edge. Okay, so here we go. Alright, and welcome back to the car hole again, and here is the minuscule pile we got from the factory edge. It did not last long at all. This is one of the smallest piles we have ever seen. This is tiny. The boxes we've been using, like the 3V filled 7 boxes. This didn't even fill 1 box. Tiny, tiny pile. Alright, and so when we started at this, we had a 219 on the edge sharpness tester, which isn't too shabby. A little bit rough, but not too shabby. I know I put it through some work before we did a cardboard slayer, but we went ahead and ran it. We got 40 minutes. We got 40 minutes before we started getting this mess right here, and at the worst spot I pulled a 598 on the edge sharpness tester. Now 598 is a devastated number. That is dull, you have to sharpen it. So we went ahead and I wanted to learn something new. So I took the portable sharpener out and I worked with this thing for a little while to start getting a feel for it. And we pulled it down to a 187, which is pretty respectable. Now, we did strop it, and we stropped it like crazy to try to help out as much as we could. That 187 is a little bit disappointing going from 400 to 1,000, but, you know, this is also something that I'm still learning how to use. You know, if I could have gotten a lot more pressure on it pushing this way and pulling this way, then we might have been able to get that number a bit lower. But still, for a portable sharpener that you can use in the field, that's not too bad of an edge. It's a good working edge that'll get you through the day. So we took the work sharp out, we sharpened her down to 117, and we made sure it was 18 degrees per side. Now, let's go out to the car hole, and I will show you the pile that we got after sharpening. Here you go. Okay. Here's the size of the pile when we sharpened it to 18 degrees per side with a polished bevel. This is a dramatic difference. This is over 2.5 of the same boxes as the first one was. Okay, so that should show you, like the factory edge, I will test the factory edge to see how it holds up, but there are times where the factory edge craps out way faster than it should. And your CR series steels, you can see the difference between factory edge and 18 degrees per side with the nice high polish on the bevel. You know, with that high polish on there, the CR series steels seem to like it. It makes it extra slicey. And it made a gigantic difference sharpening it down to 18 degrees per side. Now, let me walk you through the timeline of those events. So we started at a 117, and at an hour, we pulled a 426 in the center, a 378 towards the tip, and a 230 towards the heel. So we kept going, and at hour 2, pulled a 494 in the center, a 371 towards the tip, and a 280 down by the heel. So at the 3-hour mark, we pulled a 371 towards the tip, we pulled a 494 in the center, and we pulled a 280 towards the heel. Now, we went for another 15 minutes, and I pulled a 536, but that was the last of the cuts we got right there. That was the last of the cuts, especially right in here. That's where we hit devastated edge territory, and this is some clean cardboard that should have cut really well. So what this tells me is that there was another area in here. There was another area that was a lot worse off than the 536. I tested 3 or 4 times and I could not find the center on it. Or I couldn't find the worst spot on it. I could not find that 600 that we were looking at on the cardboard. So that's kind of where, you know, we use the electronic edge tester, which I don't have any test clips to show you what that thing does today, unfortunately. I need to order more, but I'm waiting for the YouTube payment to come in. I don't have the money for it right now, but you know, that's where we use the tester to give you a ballpark figure of where things are, and we combine the data from the tester with the data from the cardboard cuts. You know, it's those two things combined where we find out what our numbers are. Now, we sharpen this thing back up again, if memory serves. Let's take a look at that. I do have some nice fine flyer paper. Very, very nice, clean cuts. So, you know, the CR series steels and the VG10/10CR15 here takes a crazy good edge. Very, very happy with the edge on that. But again, this is where if you're sharpening your own CR series steels, I highly recommend hitting 18 degrees per side. You can leave the edge a little toothier if you like that. If you're having to cut some stuff that's more than cardboard and paper, I would recommend a little bit toothier of an edge, like maybe stop at 600 grit and strop or stop at 800 grit and strop. Of course, I take it up to 3000 grit and then I strop down to 0.1 microns because I like my edges super, super fine. But this is a stark demonstration of what you get from your edge geometry. It makes a huge difference in your retention. You know, edge geometry, while it's not the end-all, be-all, it's incredibly, incredibly important to how your knife performs. How your knife performs and how your edge performs is definitely the combination of your blade steel and your edge geometry. There are other steels that like to take 12 degrees per side or something like that, you know, but I like to strike a balance between edge durability and sharpness. So most of my other steels will get 17 degrees per side and it's real happy there. I will go 18 on the CR series steels just because they're softer and they wear out a bit faster. And one thing to note with this thing is the ergonomics. Now you might be able to see here where you've got kind of what's called an heirloom fit up between the scales and the frame. And it started off okay. But you might be able to see here, I've still got what looks like a little bit of a blister. Now, it has been, let's see, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's been 5 or 6 days, and that's still there. Now, that hasn't happened before. Once my callus started getting down into the spot between the scales and the amount of pressure that was added because the scales are taller, or the liner's taller than the scales are, it started to really, really hurt. So the ergonomics for extended use, oh man. And if you had a lot of really hard cuts you had to push through, you'd be feeling it. You would be feeling it pretty quickly. So, you know, for me, this is more of an art piece. This would be kind of a gentleman's carry if I was going somewhere where, you know, I wanted to show off the knife, but it was a nicer environment. I would definitely take this thing. And, you know, it was cool to show this thing off. The guys liked it. The guys liked where I had it customized right here. You know, it was a cool thing to show off. It was a nice show-off piece, and this will go in the drawer with the nicer stuff that I have. You know, it's just, overall, all in, I am reasonably happy with the performance for the price, because I believe I knocked this down to $40 along with the customization that's thrown in there. It's okay. It's okay. I was kind of hoping for a little bit better. They probably could have done D2 for the price or something like that. But I'm okay with it. You know, I like my edge retention more than I like ease of sharpening, but this was very easy to sharpen. After I did the portable sharpener, I had to hog off a lot of material because I still need to practice my edge angles with this thing. And this is, again, where I was excited to work on learning something new. And, you know, learning how to use stuff like this is very, very handy. I can throw this in my bag, and I know I can get an okay working edge off of something from that. It'll be a very toothy edge, a very aggressive edge, but I can get something sharpened. And, you know, it's kind of unfortunate. I don't carry these in places where I'll need to sharpen them during the day, but if I need to, I know I can. So, yeah, I can't think of a lot else to add. You know I love sharing with you what happened during Cardboard Slayer. That's what happened to this thing during Cardboard Slayer. I'm reasonably happy with it, but it could be better. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so, so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We got live streams. We got regular videos. There's plenty of activities. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about this thing or anything else. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.